Summer Game Fest is here! Well, not quite. I mean, we still got like another hour before anything actually starts. But, I wanted to get some fun stuff that I wanted to see about doing yesterday that I wasn't ending up doing to deal with a wicked freaking headache. So we're gonna go sort of down the list while we wait. Like I said, Summer Game Fest doesn't happen for about the next hour. But I will be doing hold on, let me post this on here. There we go. So it will be kind of like while we're going through the different showcases, we'll do a spin. So we're going to do 5 spins. This will be different from how I usually do it, where it's usually at the end of a stream. You don't have to follow it all. You just need to put in exclamation point SGF giveaway, and you'll be added to a pool to do the spins that we usually do at the end of these. But we got like another hour left to go, and in the meantime, I wanted to at least show some cool stuff. So some cool stuff off. Aaron is currently just hanging out over there. Not sure if she'll want to also talk about this, considering this is like a big reason. She's a big reason why I even learned about this. Let me get the stream on here. We are not doing console yet, but here we go. This is, as I put in the title, this is MMOLB. If you have not heard of this, they finished up Season 0 about a month ago. Season 1 is about to start. So it's like how it is, it's a baseball league, but it's an MMO into its sense. So the way and how this kind of works is that you're all in these lesser leagues, and they all are based off of a greater league team that we have here. You get to choose one of these, and you get put into one of these lesser leagues. And then inside of these lesser leagues are all of the teams that everyone has made, including mine here, which only had 1 win because I got invited literally on the last day. But Season 1's about to start. There's been a lot of work with Danny, who starts off, who starts this entire thing. They have a Discord that can be accessed. Do we have a... There we go. Official Discord. There's also a Reddit. You can send those on. It's really cool. So I want to go ahead and check this out. Or at least get people to check it out. I mean, today, though, I wanted to at least show this off. But I also wanted to do this, where I wanted to ensure that we get our players. Because at the end of Season 0, which was a trial run, they do have a thing at the end to... Oh, wait, I'm sorry. We're not doing stream today. Let's show on what I came up with since it's Summer Game Fest Day. I got the Call of Duty setup that I used to use for Call of Duties, where I have it set up here. But I wanted to show to where it's like, yes, baseball is a big deal. Round Rock Express represent. Love our minor league teams, man. Love your MILB. Go out and support them. There's also really good timing, because I'm not going to be here actually for like next 2 weeks, technically. I'm going to be in the Reno, Tahoe, Sacramento, Carson City area for about the next week, because I need to burn off PTO that I don't have any other use to do. I'm already maxed out. I have like over 240 hours that I need to use. So that's why I'm not going to be here. So this is great. This is great timing, because a lot of stuff is just starting now. It's the beginning of June. And so, want to show... Let's get the pack up there. There we go. Yeah, showing the back of all the Steam stuff. Cool. So the thing with, like, MMOLB, the way and how everything's kind of put together, it is really, you make your own team, you choose like an emoji instead of your own logo, and there you get to kind of like make your team based off of a combination of, and excuse me for saying this, I understand some people are very sensitive with this word, but AI, and it takes whatever description is of that character and it will use that to adjust their stats accordingly. But it's really neat. Of course, I have the Austin Bats, which I did not get set up. Let me do that real quick. So we do have some of the cool stuff. Let me get my party mix on the screen here, because this is, which yes, this is where all the music is. I have an entire folder set up for it. I also have this cool thing here where it makes noise. That came in this week. That was neat. So with the bats, do I even have it anywhere on here where I can? Yes, I do. Perfect. So I can put this on here, which these are the logos of the Austin Bats that I made way back in the day. Because I'm not joking when I was saying about, yeah, I really did make a baseball team called the Bats, because yeah, it is Austin. What do you expect? Yeah. Anyway, he's neat. So let's go ahead and show everyone how to draft the players. Really go out and check this out before the season starts. Really cool game. I like the idea that Dana's gone with one here. So let's draft our players. Check this out. Okay, we're gonna go. So it goes down the list from top to bottom. You don't get to choose on like what position they are. You only get these options. So let's see. We got a Lewis Person. Bats right, throws right. We need a catcher, so we don't need to worry about running. He's not going to be moving a whole lot. We do need him to get a good arm. So the first one we have here, so the player potential to grow, so that's good, because you will be doing this throughout the entire season, which is roughly a month. They go through about 6 games a day, so there's like a lot of stuff that they can do and change. Lewis, oh, and you also need to put the, I need to get, like, a thing on here to where it's like, hey, you know, you can also type this on. Yeah. Yeah, I can. Give away. There we go. And then I also want to have this to be visible. Let's get an outline on here. Let's do 15. Whoop. Yeah, I wasn't joking about this. We are going to be doing multiple streams if anyone actually puts in this code. So really, like, go right ahead. Go ahead and enter it. Actually, put it over. No, right here is a lot better. There's a bit more space. Yeah, you can cover my socials. It doesn't matter. My socials aren't that crazy. Aren't that great. So let's see. We need to get. So we're back to the catcher. Now we're back to this. So we need to get a guy. So each of these have potential to grow. Player usually bats near the top of the lineup. That's kind of here or there. So Mei Xiao is moderately lucky, very lucky. Okay, this player is decent at batting. Good. Decent at batting. They're all decent at batting. Okay. Extremely accurate, extremely disciplined, not lofty or team focused, not disciplined. Team focused, very resilient, not strategic, barely strong. Barely strong is not great for a catcher, especially if you're going to be trying to run to home. Oh, so I can put this back on here now. Not acrobatic. That's fine. We don't need acrobats for a catcher. The player is decent at defense. They are extremely armed. Extremely armed? I guess, like, they're very buff, is what they're saying. Extremely patient. And then acrobatic. Extremely reactive. Okay. I think very actual. I'm still thinking about Mei Xiao. It also helps that they are a switch hitter. Not even this player is decent at pitching. They are very enduring and extremely powerful, but not accurate and not convincing. Base running is not this player's strength. So base running is fine. I kind of expect that from a catcher. I think we're actually going to go with Mei Xiao here. So they'll be your catcher. All right, let's go first baseman. Do you pronounce that Adam? Or a team? How do you pronounce that? This player usually bats around the middle of the lineup. They're also moderately lucky. This player is decent batting. So first baseman, again, don't really need to move a whole lot. It's the same as catcher. Extremely consistent, extremely strategic. Players are decent at defense. They are extremely armed, extremely acrobatic. We don't really, it doesn't matter. The piecer is good at defense. Now let's get this off. So I'm not quite sure on to where it's like defense. Does that mean like they just stay there and they're like really good at sitting? Because so, I mean, it's first baseman. They don't need to move a whole lot. Extremely armed, extremely acrobatic, not agile, not aware is not great. Not composed, not armed. Not composed, barely nimble. Okay. So agile and extremely acrobatic. That could still be useful if you need to dive and the second baseman is not quite set up. Too sharp and commanding, not defined, not enduring. The player gets on the base pass. Gets by on the base pass, okay. So not what you would call a first baseman. Player's decent at pitching. I'm thinking Terry Shedler here. Let me see again. They have a decent defense, extremely armed, extremely acrobatic. Not agile, commanding, not precise. This player gets by on the base paths. Oh, okay. Dang messages, man. Extremely armed, extremely acrobatic. Yeah, I'm thinking Terry Shedler, looking at the other ones. This is still probably like the better one. I wouldn't quite put this in like first base, maybe like not shortstop. I get, well, not midfield, maybe third base. Because third, you still need to have a decent amount of movement, considering where like all the base runners are. Yeah, let's go with Terry. Let's get Terry. Terry Bogard's long-lost nephew or something. He also just wanted to have his name because Terry's such a badass. Okay, so second baseman. So we're looking for someone who is agile, who runs quick, who's reactive. Let's take a look. Promising traits, solid player potential to grow. Promising traits, needs refinement. Okay, so already exiled. Alexandria is already off the bat. Middle of the lineup, yeah, that's about right. That's all these are middle of the lineup. They're not lucky, moderately lucky though. Decent at batting, very accurate, extremely crafty. Not disciplined, not strong. Second baseman, that's fine. We're looking for a Jose Altuve, not a... I don't know, Albert Pujols or something. Albert Pujols, first baseman. No, he wasn't. Well, he was for a little bit. Albert Pujols I wouldn't call a runner is what I'm getting at. Decent at defense. They are reactive, extremely nimble, not patient, not aware. That's fine. Decent pitching, doesn't matter. Very accurate, extremely precise. Gets by on the base. Okay, easy pick. Easy pick. This is exactly who we're looking for. Alexandria, welcome to the team. All right, third baseman. We're looking for position 4. Dale Jankovic? Mars Newman, Vernon Tate. Oh no. I'm not sure we want a Tate on the team. I don't care who. Dale Jankovic. Solid player with potential to grow. This player usually bats around the middle of the lineup. They are moderately lucky. This player is decent at batting. Extremely accurate. You know, let me go ahead and change the thing. I'm now realizing to where it's, let me move it into the center. So give me... Let me go ahead and... I'm going to turn this off real quick. Not the giveaway thing. Where is this display. Here we go. Let me change this over to DLG, so we can have it in the middle here. Yeah, I'll leave that over there, so I can just keep an eye on where everyone's at. How does this? Yeah, I figured. At some point I need to get another 2K monitor. Yeah, let's do that. Let's get it so that we can get the, we can give this some breathing room here. There we go. So now I can at least be facing a bit more instead of y'all constantly looking at the side of my head. Okay, so we got Dan Jakovic, solid player with potential to grow. Player usually bats top of the lineup. Let me get a good zoom in here. Good zoom in. Solid player, potential to grow. Player usually bats between the top and the middle. So third baseman, yeah, it's potentially like your DH. It's close to your DH position. On top of the middle of the lineup, they're not lucky. Decent at batting. They are very perceptive, extremely strategic, not intimidating, not consistent. Okay, moderately lucky, decent at hitting. Okay. Extremely accurate, extremely strategic. So they are not lucky, moderately lucky, not lucky. They're all decent at hitting. Resilient, extremely crafty, not lofty, barely insightful. Accurate, extremely strategic. So that would be great if they end up hitting it out towards third or left field at a grounder. So that way they can immediately grab it. So that'd be good with, the problem there is, well, not resilient. I mean, that's good if you're like a catcher. Perceptive is an issue. Not intimidating, not consistent. Perceptive, extremely strategic. So we have with, they're quite aware, very armed, not reactive, not nimble. So that's becomes an issue. Not aware and not agile. Agile is fine. Not nimble. Okay, so that's fine. Armed and extremely aware. Okay, good. If you're on third base, it kind of doesn't really like matter to where it's having that kind of stuff where not intimidating, not consistent. Player is decent at defense. They're very armed, extremely aware, not agile, not nimble. I'm thinking Dale, honestly, because he doesn't need to be like moving back and forth. He's not shortstop. He's third base. So we don't need Vernon Tate. The issue mainly with Dale is that he's not lucky. But Mars Noonan is. But that's gonna be a very small piece of the pie what we got here. We got Mars Newman, a solid player with a chance to grow. This player usually bats around the middle of the lineup. Decent at batting. They are extremely accurate, extremely strategic, not perceptive, not resilient. This player is decent at pitching. They are extremely precise and extremely convincing, and not accurate and barely enduring. Base running is not player's strength. Not aggressive. What is the other one? To where it's like cable base runner, very fast, moderately distracting. I'm still thinking Dale. I'm gonna go with Dale for our third baseman. It sounds on point. Okay, shortstop. Now we need someone who's also like a second baseman. So we're looking for our shoot, there's another Ricky Henderson was mainly an outfielder. So that's something. Anyway, Doc Bethel, Caitlin McMahon. Oh, that's a Charlotte DeGrom. Oh, DeGrom is a fun last name, but we're not looking for a pitcher here. Okay, so promising traits, needs refinement, potential to grow. Potential to grow. Okay, so the two bottom ones better. Usually bats near the middle and bottom of the lineup. Okay, middle is great. Okay, so Charlotte DeGrom one's already kind of actually like making me up. Not lucky. Decent at batting. That's good. The other one is, well, I mean, they're all decent at batting. team focus, extremely resilient. Not lofty, not strong. They're extremely intimidating, extremely perceptive, not insightful, and not strong. Not strong, not lofty. Accurate, extremely intimidating. Decent defense, extremely nimble and acrobatic, not armed, not composed. So we don't need a whole lot of strength, but nimble and acrobat is definitely something that we want from a shortstop. So not nimble, not agile, not reactive, not nimble. Okay, I'm already off the bat, Charlotte DeGrom. Decent at pitching, doesn't matter. Extremely accurate, that's fine. Gets on the buy on the base pad. Yes, this is our shortstop. Easy pick. Easy pick.
You did it. Good job. I can't believe it. I'm proud of you.
Way to go, Charlotte. You're great. Chuckles McCall. I'm sorry, this thing is probably... Let me turn this down a little bit more. It's the audio, I swear, it's always weird. Whether or not it's like, sometimes it's way too quiet, sometimes it's loud. Still unsure. So we got Chuckle McCall. Promising traits, needs refinement. Player usually bats in the middle. What do we have it? Okay, we're good. We got like an needs refinement. The player usually bats around the middle of the lineup. They're also not lucky. This player is decent at batting. They are extremely strong, extremely perceptive, not lofty, not accurate. This player is decent at defense, quite agile. So wait, what are we looking at again? Left field. Okay. So we actually do need someone whose base running is not a strength. That's not great. We need you to be fast. We need fast. Who is fast? Is there anyone here that's fast? Capable base running. Gets by on the base pad. Okay. So, gets by on the base paths and capable base runner. So I'm thinking gets by means, like, top line. Like, level 3. And then capable is level 2 medium. That's what I'm getting at. So decent at defense. Armed and extremely acrobatic. Okay, not composed, not aware. That's not great. Doesn't matter about the pitching. They're not a pitcher. Barely lucky. Decent at batting. Extremely insightful and consistent. Not resilient and barely disciplined. What do you have with the other ones? Because if you're on the left field, you're pretty much like the next go-to for speed until you get to like center. If you're in center field. Center field, you need someone who is like your fastest guy. Because he's going to be stretching all the way out. Of course, I don't know if this goes by like the new rules where everyone's on the shift is banned. So I'm thinking Ozzy is probably going to be our our left fielder. Not patient, barely aware. Pitching is a work in progress for this player. They are moderately accurate and very powerful, but not enduring and not unpredictable. Base running is on this player's strength. Because, I mean, we do want someone who gets by on the base path, because that means they're fast. We need someone in fast. Unless you're playing right field, unless you're, like, the Boston Red Sox, and you have, like, the Green Monster there, you need to be running. You need to be one of the better runners. So I'm thinking Ozzy. Because being capable, everyone's capable. But some are just better than others. So if they get by on it, then I'm not thinking Ricky Henderson, but I am expecting, like, I don't know, like a, Craig Biggio. There we go. Okay, so center field. Now we need to do with speed. We need our number 1. Shortstop is your number 3. Left field is your number 2. Center field is your number 1 speedster. So we need someone who's really good at base running. Or at least it says he's fast. Either of these work. Because gets by on the base paths, it's good. Barely fast. Quite distracting, not aggressive. Barely fast, though. What do you mean by barely fast? Like, just barely considered to be fast, or... Extremely distracting, but quite aggressive. Which means, like, they can get thrown out. Zach Donahue, I'm thinking. So far, Zach is our leading candidate. Player usually bats near the bottom of the lineup. Bottom of the lineup. Top of the lineup. Okay. I have no idea where, like, any of these really kind of go. The game kind of plays itself, and you kind of adjust as it goes along. Dang, okay. So, let's go from the top. Okay, Suzy Fujimoto. Barely lucky, decent batting. Okay. Extremely accurate, extremely consistent. Not disciplined, not resilient. So that comes with the batting. So, if they keep getting the same one out, extremely accurate. Okay, so that's fine. Defensive work in progress for this player. That's not great. Are they all work in progresses? No. Strong in defense. Okay, Isaiah. Nimble and extremely armed. Armed is great, because you need to get that in there, especially if you're like 300 to 400 feet out. But not aware, barely armed. Okay. Not patient, barely composed. This player is strong in the pitching department. So, which could mean that they have a great arm, which means they're like super powerful, kind of throw. Unpredictable and quite accurate. Not oh, this is pitching. This player is capable base runner. Okay. Oh, dang. Okay, this is actually a really hard choice. These all kind of have like their own little bits. So capable base runner, capable base runner. And then this is like, it gets by on the base paths. Okay. Extremely nimble, extremely armed. Player strong in the pitching department, extremely powerful. Non-unpredictable. Quite distracting, not aggressive. Maybe Isaiah. Maybe Isaiah. Quite convincing, extremely powerful, not enduring, not sharp. This playable is capable base runner. They're both capable up here. So work in progress, work in progress. So it's the only one that really is kind of like, hey, they're good. I'm saying Isaiah. Let's go with Isaiah. You'll be our star center fielder. Okay, right fielder. You don't need to really be moving a whole lot, but you can't be a sitting duck like a catcher or the 2 and 4s. Sticky Peck. Please don't tell me about your Sticky Peck, man. I don't need to know about that. I also like how they disliked the MLB. Bro, same here. That's why I'm wearing a minor league jersey. Not even like minor league. This is like back when they were AA. This is back when like this was the style. Like they don't do this anymore. The Express don't even have this logo anymore. This is like the 2000s. Usually when they have like Roy Oswalt being the big star. Okay, right. So let's go back. Right fielder. Wait, what does everyone else like? Embroidery, skydiving, urban exploration. In Detroit. Go to Detroit. Look at all the abandoned car manufacturing buildings. Sticky Peck is a solid player with potential to grow. This player usually bats near the bottom of the lineup. They're also not lucky. This player is decent at batting. They're extremely disciplined, extremely lofty. These guys all want to bat at the very end of the lineup, man. Not nimble, barely agile. Extremely patient, extremely acrobatic. Okay. Pitching is pitching is whatever. They are quite commanding, extremely defiant, not sharp, not enduring. Capable base runner, very fast. Okay. So probably you. You don't need to be fast. So I want to see everyone else, but that's pretty good. If they're at least reactive. Are any of these guys reactive on defense? Because that's what we still kind of need for outfielders. Moderately agile, not acrobatic, not agile. Quite composed, very aware. Very aware. Okay, that's good. That's what we need. They're quite team-focused, very consistent, not perceptive, not strong. Extremely perceptive. Not insightful, not crafty. We don't need you to be crafty. You're not an infielder. We just need you to be, like, working out on the bench. Extremely acrobatic, not nimble, barely agile. Pitching is a work in progress for this player. They are quite commanding and extremely defiant. Oh, I never actually... There we go. Okay. Now in case anyone shows up and wants to show stuff, we can at least be watching on some. So, Sticky Peck. I mean, you are still an outfielder. You're right field, though. And I don't think MMOLB is at least at a point where we can kind of decide on what our fields look like. So there's no. This is probably like the uniformity thing. So it's still something that we have to consider for it being like you're in the outfield. There's no special dimensions to worry about. Aggressive, barely sneaky. Well, they all get by on the base paths, so that's good. But only one of them is very fast. String pace and aware, very nimble, barely not nimble, not. So patient, acrobatic. Which is still kind of good if you're in the outfield. You can steal home runs that way. Very well. Not acrobatic, not agile. Extremely acrobatic and nimble. Not armed. Moderately agile. Okay, so moderately. So that's not a negative. That's just not a plus. So this is still kind of good if we're looking at defense here. Okay, what's hitting then? Decent at batting, extremely resilient and perceptive, not insightful, not crafty. Okay. As much as I want to pick Sticky Peck just because that name's hilarious, I will go with Lindworm. Just because, like, okay, you're pretty good at batting, but you only have one negative when it comes down to your defense. And it's agility. So you're moderately agile, so you're kind of like Joe Schmo, but you're not armed, which is somewhat of an issue. That's something we can work on. Not nimble, barely agile. What is your pitching? Do you at least have strong in the pitching department? Okay, so you probably still have an arm, you just don't have it quite down yet. You're not like Ichiro throwing from right to third. You're probably good enough to at least get into the infield within a second. Let's go with Lindworm. Get our team together. All right, our DH. So defense doesn't matter. Just what is your hitting? Are you a great hitter? Great hitter and runner. That's all you're doing. Extremely enduring and sharp. So let me see. Decent at batting. Decent at batting. Decent at batting. Okay. Extremely disciplined and extremely crafty. Not team focused. Very insightful, not lofty, but accurate and strategic. Okay. Extremely resilient, extremely accurate. Not strong, not crafty. I need you to be strong. You're a DH. When you get up there, I need you to hit a homer. Extremely patient, extremely aware, not reactive, and not armed. Extremely disciplined, extremely crafty, not team focused, not insightful. Okay. Decent at very insightful and lofty. Decent at pitching, strong in the pitching department. Because I don't need you to be fast if you can hit over the wall. I wanted to, like, you're extremely great at batting. It's almost like you're using a cork bat out there. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Which is still kind of funny because cork bats actually prove to be slightly worse because it's like a hollow bat. Players using a defense, they are very patient, extremely armed, but not reactive, not aware. Pitchers strong in the pitching department. Because we don't, you just need batting. So moderately lucky, not lucky, barely lucky. Okay, so lucky is already kind of good there. They're all decent at batting. Very patient, extremely armed, strong in the pitching environment, extremely quite distracting, not fast. That's fine, you're a DH. But they get by on the base paths, so that's good. Base running on this player's strength. This player gets by on the base path, moderately distracting, not fast. Okay, so it's the same thing as... So Jason Carlington, I guess of these guys, I wouldn't really consider saying their DH potential. He's probably the best of the three that we got here. Okay, now we're going to pitching. All right, starting pitchers. Let's go. And since we have a DH, means DH rules in effect, so we are just looking at defense. Players decent at defense, very active, very armed. So decent at defense. Defense is a work in progress. Okay, so Kate Cobb, probably not. Francisco Chardo? And Rodeo Dowell. Rodeo, if you want to say that. But either is correct. Rodeo Drive is the Rage Against the Machine song that I think about anytime I just see this outside of context. Okay, so potential to grow, so that's also good. Middle of the line, well, they're not batting. What am I reading that for? Potential to grow is pretty good, though. Okay, so decent at defense, they're all good at. They are very active and very armed. Not composed and not agile. Decent at batting. They're not batting. I don't know why I'm still reading. My mind is just completely, like, washed over. They are very active, very nimble, not acrobatic, not mildly armed. This player is decent at batting. They are extremely consistent and extremely perceptive. Not accurate, not intimidating. I don't know why I'm still reading this. But, dude, I am freaking just, like, deadheaded. What's their pitching? We're looking at starting pitchers. Why am I reading all this? First? Okay. Strong at pitching department. It's up here. Decent at pitching. Strong at pitching. Okay, so Rodeo is out. So maybe not Kate Cobb. Francisco Pichardo, maybe. Extremely accurate, extremely powerful, not sharp, moderately convincing. Okay. Decent at pitching. Very sharp, extremely convincing, not powerful, not enduring. Ugh. Barely commanding. Okay. I would like it if they were enduring because they're a starting pitcher. But lacrosse. Latte art. Man, I hate latte art. I hate going down to Starbucks and seeing them do the little leaf in my little cup. Get out of here with that. Okay, next starting pitcher. Elias McClure. DVD Gothier. Which one of you people put in a thing on Patreon to make the guy named DVD? Why do we have a guy named DVD? Oh, it's insane. Okay. Anyway, starting pitcher. Second starting pitcher. What are we looking at? Okay, decent at pitching. Extremely lucky. Decent at pitching. Okay, also extremely lucky. Decent at pitching. Okay, and this is just, they're not lucky. Okay, so get rid of them. So it's either DVD or Nancy. Player is extremely decent at pitching. They are quite defiant, extremely convincing. Not sharp, not powerful. Okay, and then we have decent pitching. Very accurate. Good. Not precise. That is very contradictory. So what, they can make it across home plate, but they just don't know where across the strike zone it's going to be? Or, like, I don't know how to necessarily read that. I mean, it's kind of just up in the air, I suppose. Extremely convincing, though. Which means it could be throwing them off. Not powerful, not sharp. And then not precise and not commanding. So maybe DVD is actually probably the better one that we're going with. So I'm thinking probably DVD Gothier is our guy. Our second starting pitcher is DVD. Thank you, guy who most likely paid the $20 a month, I believe, on Patreon to get that name on there. Okay, yeah, I'll go with DVD. Alright. Starting pitcher number 3. Fiona Hendricks, Mario Otsuka, Julie Gustafsson. Okay, Fiona Hendricks. Solid player, potential to grow. This player usually bats around the middle. Lineup, they're also very lucky. Pitching is a work in progress with this player. They are moderately convincing and not quite defiant, but not predictable and not powerful. This player is strong in the defense department. I don't know why I'm still reading all this. Okay, so work in progress is not good. Decent at pitching. Work in progress. Okay, so Mario already kind of... Oh, they're also left-handed throw, because I think the other 2 were right-handers. Extremely accurate and sharp, not enduring, not commanding. Not enduring is not great, but... extremely enduring. Oh, Julie, you got a good... They're work in progress, though. I'm still gonna go with Mario. Mario, easy pick. It's just the fact that we need like a left-hander in there. And also, if he's very precise, that's great to have. We're not being enduring, but that's where we need our relievers to step in. Okay, so number 4. So Larry Consago, Lulu Burgess, Ace Shepherd. That's an awesome name. I think someone put that in there. That's way too cool of a name. Okay, what do you... Extremely lucky. Pitching is a work in progress. That's not great. Enduring, though. Starting pitcher. Enduring. Not precise, not powerful. That's not great. But endurance, though. Endurance and sharp can probably make up for that. Not powerful, so they're not a hard pitcher, but they can fake them out. We can get a Greg Maddux in here. This player is decent at defense. They are very armed and extremely agile, not nimble, barely acrobatic. So decent at pitching, strong in the pitching department. So already off the bat, it's between the bottom two. Not the bottom two. Larry and Ace. Oh, but Ace Shepherd is an awesome name. I'm imagining having that being read, and it's like, dude, this guy's name is Ace. Ace Shepherd. This is your guy. What is he? Meditation and collecting toys. He doesn't like collecting toys. Stop collecting toys. I hate it when you do that. Stop doing it. I didn't really have any. All my toys are over there. I think this is probably the closest toy I have on here is a freaking stapleless stapler. Because this is a desk. I do this to work sometimes. Oh, that's weird. I'm gonna go with Ace. I need to. You cannot have. That's an awesome name. I'm picking him right off the bat. Okay, we got like half an hour. Like looking to go. I still want to shoot. I still want to open up the new console I have. You know, the Switch 2 just came out, so new consoles are the hit new thing. So Roman Kaminsky. Oh, starting pitcher. Okay, work in progress. Decent at pitching. Okay, already, Leandra, you're kind of extremely precise and commanding. Not powerful, not convinced. Okay, what are the other ones? Because maybe commanding can still kind of overtake some of the convincing. It's like, yeah, I'm just gonna tell you where I need to throw it, and I'm gonna do it. So then that way you can just be like Nolan Ryan. Like, I'll just tell you, and you're still not gonna hit it. Not convincing, not commanding. Extremely convincing. Not powerful, not enduring. Okay. The problem is that pitching is a work in progress is not a great start. Extremely patient, not acrobatic, team decent. Extremely decent, agile and aware. So maybe Robin. Not quite reactive. Quite reactive. What do we have on here? Very agile and aware. Maybe Robin. Honestly, like, I understand pitching is a work in progress, but they're also like our 5th starting pitcher, so maybe they can be like a shadow. Start shadowing the other 2. Or other 4, excuse me. Because if you're commanding and you're convincing, then yeah, that's great. Especially if you're going to be throwing right hand, you kind of need to have that workaround. Let's go with Robin, and we'll try to level her up as the season goes along. Relief pitcher. All right, here we go. We're in the back end. We're at the very end. We need our next few. So Zoe Vasquez, Ashley Gruber, and P. Sakurai. Okay, so relief. We don't need you to be out there very long, so enduring is not a selling. So enduring here, that's not a very selling thing, your relief. Quite commanding though, barely powerful and quite accurate. Defiant and enduring, extremely convincing, and defiant. Okay. So already off the bat, strong pitcher. Strong pitcher, decent at pitching. Okay, already kind of thinking Sakurai here. Strategic, extremely insightful. Yeah, I'm thinking Sakurai here. Let's go, Sakurai. Your relief. What are we at now? Okay, 2 more relief pitchers and then our closer, and then we'll be done here. Because we're coming up on, yeah, it is 3:30. So we got like half an hour before Summer Game Fest starts. So Komaro has some promising traits. User from it. This player usually bats near the top of the lineup. They're also not lucky. Quite lucky is Bert. Quite lucky also Manuel. Sharpening, showing, commanding. Okay, not enduring, that's fine. Convincing and commanding. Not accurate, though. They are commanding, powerful, not sharp, barely unpredictable. So, Bert, probably. Got a little bit of luck. Convincing and commanding as well. He may not be accurate, but also, like, barely unpredictable, not unpredictable. Not enduring, not convincing. Like, maybe cool? Maybe cool. They're not lucky, though. If you're a relief pitcher, you're going to need to have some luck on your side. I'm still thinking Bert, probably. Defense is... Okay, so in worst case scenario, yeah. Still thinking Bert Horry. Enduring, not convincing. Yeah, they're not accurate, not unpredictable. Again, I still don't know what the difference between not and barely are. Like, is barely better or worse than just, like, not? Like, is it, like, not being, like, 20 to 49%? Or is it, like, you're 0 to 19? Also, Bert's funny. That's a funny name. I know it's, like, short for Albert, but whatever. So, Lila, Matsuoka, Pogo Stick, Calvo. Pogo Stick. That's another fun name. He likes yo-yos. Why do you call him Pogo Stick, then? He likes yo-yos. Okay, so relief pitcher number 3. So last relief pitcher. So decent at pitching. Not lucky. Strong in pitching. Very lucky. Okay, already thinking Pogo Stick. Decent at okay, so Pogo Stick currently is in the lead. Precise and sharp, not commanding. That's fine. We need... If you're at least precise and sharp, you can make up for this. You don't need to be throwing hard. You don't need to be Ronaldo Chapman. You can be a Greg Maddux, where it's just, like, you can be pitching 70 miles an hour and people still won't hit it. Not accurate, barely sharp. Am I really going with Pogo Stick? A guy named Pogo Stick? Yeah, I'm going to go with Pogo Stick. He will be our star reliever. I can see him become a closer later on. So we got here Suzanne Anderson, Rio Mueller, City John? Okay. Extremely lucky. Okay. Moderately lucky, strong in the pitching. Are you also strong? Pitching is a work in progress. Oh, so you can probably still make up for this, though. You can probably still make up for that. Defiant and commanding, not powerful, not sharp. Decent, okay. Precise and very commanding, not defiant, not convincing. And they are quite lucky. Because they're so strong in the pitching department also. Oh man, this is actually it. Sharp and precise, barely unpredictable, barely defiant. Okay. Again, it goes back into is not or barely better or worse. Like where we have with this. Defiant, not convincing. The player is decent defense. They are extremely nimble and extremely composed. Not patient, not armed. This player is decent at batting. Extremely team nah, we don't care about that. I don't know why I'm reading all that. Strong in the pitching department. Moderately lucky. Like... Yeah. Sharp and Precise. And they have Barely, which is not. So probably City. I guess we'll go with City. Extremely sharp and precise. Decent defense. Extremely nimble. Okay, so worst case, decent defense. Okay, they're all decent, I think. Yeah, let's go with City. So there we go. And now we gotta wait, and since I've been doing this late, people have already leveled up their team. But here are your Season 1 Austin Bats. Go on to MMOLB. I'll either be on the Shiny League, or if I'm allowed to change, I'll be in the Archers Lesser League. That is the... it'll be the Shiny here, or it will be the Precision League. So go ahead and check it out. It's really neat. We're starting on Season 1. You find it interesting to see on where this kind of takes everybody. Alright, and for the next thing, before we go into Summer Game Fest, I'll actually do my full webcam for this, because today's a special day. As you know, the Switch 2 had just come out, so naturally everyone wants to get a brand new console. So I was thinking, like, man, you know what? I could use a new console as well. New consoles are in. So let me go ahead and order a console on my own. So I need to get something to be ordering, so that way it's catching up, keeping up with the kids these days. Try not to show my my address. Probably should have marked it out with marker just in case. You can't really see or read any of it. There's no actual information you can see off of here. There we go. And I can just tear this last part off. There we go. Everyone, check out this brand new console. You cannot believe it with your own eyes. Yes, indeed, it is. Oh my god! Guys, it's an Xbox. Can you believe it? Wow! Wow! Oh! Brand new! Not really brand new, but... Man, look at that! Look at that Xbox! Look at the blemishing from the previous owner. Because it's obviously not... It's new to me. I never actually owned an Xbox. And the main reason I got this is because there's, like... I have a 360, but there's games that you can't play on there. Because for some reason they only have, like, certain backwards compatibility games. So there's stuff like, Crazy Taxi 3, NFL Street, later on stuff, Mech Assault. Like, all those games, you cannot play backwards compatibility on the 360. So I really needed to get one of these if I wanted to keep growing. And plus, it actually opens up a bit more of the collecting stuff that I do. Because I'm at, like, 11 Xbox games now. And so being able to actually just kind of play it on original hardware. I mean, like, is this original hardware? This doesn't look... This seems like aftermarket Xbox stuff. If so, I'm gonna have to order... Yeah, this is either that or it's been, like... No, I think this is actually original. That's just... Yeah, it just gotten wear and tear. Jesus, okay. Time to go controller hunting. Oh, well. At least it's this setup. Have you guys... Remember the Duke controller where these buttons were set up over here? Because they wanted it to be like the Sega Saturn, because everyone actually kind of liked the Sega Saturn's key makeup. So that's how this thing was made. It's really interesting. There's Dreamcast blood in here. Like, one of the guys that was, like, there to design it was indeed a Dreamcast guy. And in here is where you put your memory cards. Why these are here? That's also part of the Dreamcast. That's your, I can pull this out here. You remember the Dreamcast had the VMUs. that's kind of the same thing here. You put them in there. So it came with its own hard drive, which is in the console itself. And then you can have external stuff that can be plugged into here. And then on top of that, they had the sticks that were from the PlayStation 1 when they introduced the analog stuff with like a Ape Escape. And so they added that onto there because everyone liked it. And then for the Duke controller, not this one. This is like 2003-ish. They put these buttons over here, so that way it was 2 rows of 3. So it was like the Sega Saturn, because people actually liked the way on how the Sega Saturn's controller was kind of like made. So they went ahead and put it like that. But the Duke controller was so freaking huge, it was just not working. It was just a pain in the ass just to use that little bit. So you ended up with just like people who had this giant behemoth of a freaking like large hand controller reaching from one side to the other. And it just didn't work, so they ended up just putting it right here because it was just a lot easier for you to shift your thumb over in order to get to those buttons instead of having to reach all the way over. So this worked a lot better. And of course, these buttons just ended up being gone. So I need to get another controller then. If this thing had its Xbox stuff freaking like ripped off, that's not aftermarket. There's nothing there. So it's still a little sticky, so I think it's just old. But as long as this works. But hey, we got a new console. And by we, I mean me. But so that's my new console reveal. Congratulations to me on having something that already has more games than the Switch 2. And also, instead of $450+ and $80 games, instead I got this for 100 smackaroonies, and games are already going for like in the teens. And it's been like 20+ years since this thing came out. Games are relatively cheap, so the main goal is just to find out what exclusives are on here, and we can do that. I also need to find a way to set it up, because the way on how I have this all these consoles over here set up, it's all kind of done through like an AV port. Though there is like an HD version, or at least an HD Switch you can have, because this is actually the first HD console. This gets up to 720p, and then there's like some games that do a 1080i, and you can get that on there. So it's something I'll have to look at. I actually didn't even look at. Let me see what we got on the back here. What's the? Oh, it's just one port. It's just the one port. What do we have with the? Which time again? Okay. Yeah, that's power. What do we have here? What do we have? This is the controller. There's other. Here we go. This is AV. This is AV. Are we sure that this gets up to HD quality, or is it just upres? Well, it's 720p, not interlaced. First HD console, apparently, though. So anyway, Switch 2 just came out. This is my new console, though. So I need to get this set up, and then I can start, I guess, streaming Xbox games from OG hardware. Which, you know, people will go like, oh, well, who cares? And it's like, screw you, I do. For God's sakes, I still play all my Dreamcast games on a Dreamcast. I don't emulate a lot of my games. Actually, I don't think I've emulated any game. I think the only game that we emulated was that Nuzlocke that Chromie did a while ago. And that was like because he doesn't have like a GameCube or anything. So it was just like, well, what else are we gonna do? Let's just get an emulator and do it. Anyway, how much time do we have until? Okay, cool. That's pretty much all this time I want to do. I guess we won't be doing pre-gaming. That's fine. Let's go ahead. I'll get us set up with Summer Game Fest. What do we got here? Game Awards. Alright,